the Vaudeville Vixens. Skating tonight in pink and brown. Starting us off for the Vaudeville Vixens, number 10, A Magnitude 10. Number 14, Darling Nikki. Number 160, Smartash. Oh. Number 32, Dalek Doll. Number 49, Donna Stunner. Number 51, Harleyson. Number 22, Happy Go Lucky. 117, Jean du Snark. 1967, Jocelyn Hell Burnell. Number 9, Kenna Vendetta. Number 30, Lemon Dropkick. 406, Montana Slamma. Number 66, Mustang. Number 45, Nefarious. 1975, Neon Arzek. High Five from Shantastic McAwesome. 160, Smartash. 750, Whiskey and Choke. Number 11, Zoe Dash in Hell. On the bench for the Vixens, we have Two Stroke, Flute Loop, Betty Davis Thighs, and True Blood. And I'd like to give a special shout out to number 5150, Berserkly. I was looking on the wrong list and missed her in the front. We've also, skating for the Vixens tonight, got Tipsy Velvet, 255, number 14, Darling Nikki, and back again with the Vaudeville Vixens, Feminine Hijinks, 8008. Let's give it up for your Vaudeville Vixens.
Now introducing their opponents for tonight's bout, a team of super-powered super skaters, the Green Machine. All right, so here we go. Skating in at number 18 feet, we have Alligator. Number 120 is Battle Frog. Number 3 AM, Booty Collins. Number L5 is Brokeback Jack. Number 796, Conan the Librarian. Number 6x9 is Girl Friday. Number Oi is Gouda Riddance. Number 86 is Guacamole. Number I4I, Hammer Abbey. Number 1904 is KY Julie. L22, Lunatrick. Number 15, Mac the Knife. Number 918 is Pied Typer. Number B52, Sequin Destroyer. Number 313 is Slayhound. Skating in number 906 is Super Youper. Number 350 is Susie Homewrecker. Finally is number 7, When Do You Wanna Die? They are all supported on the bench by La Biblioreca, Kate Silver, and Dame Judy Bench. Ladies and gentlemen, the Quad Squad!
All right, we've also got some skating officials. Skating for you tonight in official capacity, we have Stabby McDudebro, the Gorham Reaver, Bjorn to Kill, Eddie Lizard, Death Nelly, Johnny Zebra, Chaotic Neutral, and Howie Swerve. Our non-skating officials tonight for this bout are Modus Pawns, Strife of Riley, Macra Maniac, Captain Emo, Keister Bunny, Mr. Welch, Diaphragm, Dread Gazebo, Squeaky Fromage, Ms. Informed, Brazzle Dazzle, Irene Adler, Jezebel O'Kitty, Roadblock, Shownuff, and Agru.
All right. Before we kick off tonight's action, we would like to ask you to stand if you are able, and please remove any headgear. And to have sing our national anthem is Madison musician Kate Scullen. Thank you very much, Katie.
And tonight, we've got a celebrity whistleblower with us in the house. We'd like to welcome Dave Heinley of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. He's here to join us tonight to blow the opening whistle. He brought the Choose Your Ride vehicle here to remind us that when you're buzzed, you have a choice to make: end up arrested or take a safe ride home. We want everyone to enjoy the bout and stay safe by driving sober on all your wheels. He's going to start us off tonight with that first whistle. Looks like everybody's ready out there.
I'm ready. And with that begins the first jam of the night.
Thank you, Dave Heinley and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Out there jamming for the Quad Squad, we've got Hammer Abby. She's stuck behind some of the Vixens. And we've got Kenna Vendetta for the Vaudeville Vixens. She gets out and gets lead jammer.
Well, looks like we have some blockers going to the penalty box already.
Yeah, we got a couple Vixen blockers out there. It looks like Darling Nikki went to the penalty box, as well as Lemon Dropkick.
Yeah, it looks like Kenna Vendetta called off that jam there after picking up 1 point. A good call, preventing Hammer Abby and the Quad Squad from putting any points up on the board.
And it looks like the Quad Squad's going to start off with one more blocker on the track than the Vixens. A little advantage there. They've got Mac the Knife skating with the Jammer star on, up against Jocelyn Helbernell for the Vixens.
Well, Looks like Mac the Knife is going to pull out to the front of the pack to take lead jam for the quad squad.
Jocelyn Helbernell right behind her around that corner. And as Mac the Knife gets going a little fast and slips down, she gets right back up, still in front of Jocelyn Helbernell. It looks like there's a little bit of slipperiness out there on that track.
Yeah, it looks like Mustang and Tipsy Velvet tried to keep Mac the Knife back, but they ended up getting slipped by. Picked up a few points there.
Sneaky Mac the Knife snuck by with 4 points now for the quad squad. Vaudeville Vixens at 1. We've got Alligator in the box for the quad squad, as well as looks like Battle Frog over there. Allie is standing up, as well as Darling Nikki and Lemon Dropkick. When you see a blocker standing in the penalty box, that means she's only got 10 seconds left to serve of her penalty and will be released soon. So right as Nikki and Allie get back onto the track.
It looks like KY Julie ended up taking a penalty, so this is now a power jam situation for the Vaudeville Vixens. And a power jam is when only one jammer is up. So only one team has a jammer up, and that means that that team can now score points unopposed. Well, as far as other points are concerned.
The other jammer isn't on the track to be able to score points for their team. So the Vaudeville Vixens have to take advantage of this jammer's status, and it looks like Alligator and Battle Frog are out there trying to stop Montana Slamma from getting too many points before KY Julie gets back in. Feminine Hijinks in the front of the pack. They're blocking KY Julie while her blockers on the Vixens get back up to kind of help her play some defense. KY Julie back through the pack. She's not your lead jammer. And Montana Slammer, lead jammer, just calls that jam off.
Yep. Again, a good job there calling off the jam before the opposing jammer could make it to the back of the pack to score points.
That's right.
Yep. So the way these jammers are scoring their points is when their hips pass the hips of an opposing player, they score points. And that does include players that are in the penalty box once they pass the penalty box.
And we've had a lot of players there in the penalty box. We want to thank our official penalty box sponsor, the Monkey Bar Gym, where Derby girls work out to be strong enough for Derby. Monkey Bar Gym penalty box has had a lot of skaters going there, actually so fast I can't even see what the penalties are all the time. We've got an official Triple M 2-minute promise timeout right now while the officials get some stuff worked out.
Yeah, I believe this is a score review that is happening now.
Going to make sure that the score, Vaudeville Vixens 15 up against Quad Squad 4, is correct. They'll let us know what happens. Meanwhile, lining up on the jammer line, and that's the Plan B jammer line. Plan B, Madison's favorite gay bar and dance club. Be out, be proud, just be. And Plan B is also where our after party will be tonight. So head on down there after this exciting bout.
Yep.
On that jammer line, we've got...
Looks like Dalek Doll is up jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens, and Hammer Abby is wearing the star for the Quad Squad.
Both jammers up against two opposing blockers, while two of their other blockers both are in that penalty box. Dalek Doll gets out up front, but taken to the outside by the Quad Squad blockers.
Yep. Hammer Abby sneaking around the inside to take that lead jam for the Quad Squad.
And Dalek Doll's close behind her, but not lead. Vaudeville Vixens try to get up and force Hammer Abby to call off the jam, but not before she scores 3 more points for the Quad Squad.
Yeah, that was a good defensive play on the Vaudeville Vixens' part there. Definitely smart of Hammer Abby to call it off. Since she had been knocked out on the inside, she would have to cycle back behind the skater that knocked her out, which would likely end up putting her in position behind the opposing jammer in the pack.
That's right. You don't want to get a track cut as a jammer. That'll send you right to the penalty box. And on the jammer line right now for the Vixens, we've got Berserkly up against...
I believe that is Mac the Knife.
That's Mac the Knife jamming for the Quad Squad. Mac the Knife is out of the pack first, and she's the lead jammer for the quad squad. Vixens form a wall up front, getting ready for Mac the Knife to enter that pack. Knock her to the inside, but she calls that jam off after she scores 1 point for the quad squad.
Still looking at a really close scoring game right now. We have the quad squad at 8 and the Vaudeville Vixens at 15. With about 25 minutes left in the half, this is most definitely anybody's game.
And right now we've got KY Julie on the jammer line for the quad squad up against Jocelyn Hell-Burnell. They're both lining up on that Plan B jammer line. As the whistle blows, KY Julie goes to the inside. Jocelyn Hell-Burnell tries to take the outside. Comes around fighting through the pack, and Jocelyn Hell-Burnell is lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. KY Julie still trying to get past that last blocker Mustang in a pack of Vixens. She's out, but Jocelyn Hell-Burnell through the pack for 4 points, and she calls off that jam. Nice job, Jocelyn.
All right, looks like we're going to have another official timeout, the Triple M 2-minute promise timeout.
And we've got the teams lined up on the track, huddling up to talk some strategy. We'd like to thank a couple of our sponsors here. We've got Hinckley Design and Production. They're always at turn 1 and turn 4, proudly filming Mad Rollin' Dolls Roller Derby since 2008. They film all our bouts, edit our commercials, and provide live video streaming for major tournaments. Please consider Hinckley Productions for your next video project. HinkleyProductions.com. We've also got a great sponsor, Mini of Madison, now with more handles to love on the new Mini hardtop 4-door. Keep it mini at 310 West Beltline Highway.
Would like to remind you that you can head on down to our merch table and pay $1 for a shout out. That will go to our bout charity, Safe Harbor, and will allow you to write down something that will be read up here on the mic by our announcers, provided it is PG-13. We do try to run a family show here.
That's right, and provided that we can read it. So try to write neatly. Sometimes we might not get the shout out correct if it's not.
I get confused a little easily when it comes to some handwriting.
That's right.
Looks like our official review has wrapped up. Starting off here, we have Hammer Abby jamming for the quad squad and Kenna Vendetta up for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Both jammers fighting to make their way through the pack up against some opposing blockers that are just blocking their way. We've got quad squad jammer, Hammer Abby, makes her way around the outside and past her pack members, getting lead jam, while Kenna Vendetta still stuck behind Alligator, Susie Homewrecker, Girl Friday, and Luna Trick of the quad squad. Hammer Abby is knocked to the outside, but it looks like Eddie Lizard is calling her on a... Is that a back block?
Yes, that was a back block penalty. So if you're playing rules bingo,
be sure to mark your cards for a back block.
Or blocking to the back. That'll send Quad Squad Jammer to the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box. Meanwhile, Kenna Vendetta has a power jam for the Vaudeville Vixens. She slows down, getting up to the blocker, and it looks like she has just executed a WORT star pass. WORT. Back porch radio in Madison.
Yeah, so her star has now been passed to the pivot, the person who had a stripe on her helmet. That is Montana Slamma. So she is now the jammer, but since a star pass has occurred, she no longer has the ability to call off the jam.
Hammer Abby is back on the track from being in the penalty box. She gets through the pack for 4 points for the quad squad. Montana Slammer fighting her way through the pack. She gets called out. Has to go back around to the back of the pack. And it looks like Hammer Abby through the pack, and that will score her a grand slam. And we want to thank Minnie of Madison for sponsoring our grand slam.
Sounds like a timeout has been called by the quad squad.
A quad squad up 17 points to the Vaudeville Vixens 27. Still anybody's game, but that grand slam and point scoring there by Hammer Abbey did bring the quad squad a little bit closer to the Vixens and their points. But again, it's close to the beginning of the game. It's still anything can happen.
Yeah, as we just saw, there were a number of full grand slams there in that last jam. So if a good power jam comes up, then you could just land grand slam after grand slam after grand slam, and before you know it, you've picked up 20 points for your team.
That's right. And for those of you that don't know out there, a grand slam in roller derby is when the jammer passes all of the blockers of the opposing team, as well as the jammer from the opposing team, scoring 5 points for her team. And we're getting back to the action, lining up on the Plan B jammer line. We've got Mac the Knight from the quad squad up against Dalek Doll of the Vaudeville Vixens.
Well, jammers get off to a bit of a slow start, but start engaging that the defensive walls of each team.
Ooh, both jammers knocked around to the outside. Mac the Knife finds a hole and gets through. She is lead jammer for the quad squad.
Look like Dalek Doll is still struggling against that wall of green, all of the quad squad blockers. So you've got Gouda Riddance in there, When Do You Want to Die, Conan the Librarian.
Meanwhile, as Dalek is recycled to the back of the pack, Mac the Knife races through that pack and scores another Minia Madison grand slam for the quad squad. Another grand slam for Mac the Knife.
Looks like at the same time, Dalek Doll was cycled to the back of the pack by Sequin Destroy Her. It's happened again with When Do You Want to Die?
And bodies are hitting the floor all over the place. We've got some quad squad blockers knocking into Dalek Doll as she passes the star. It looks like she no longer has the star cover on, but we don't see who on the Vaudeville Vixens has that star cover. I'm assuming it might be their pivot, Whiskey and Choke. Whiskey gets out of the pack. She now puts on the star helmet cover.
All right.
And Mac the Knife calls that jam off.
So that was a WORT Back Porch Radio in Madison Star Pass.
So a little confusing there, as it wasn't clear for a while who had the star cover. But we did get that sorted out. Starting up on this jam, we have Darling Nikki jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens up against KY Julie for the Quad Squad. Jam begins.
KY Julie struggling up against, it looks like Berserk Lee there, and Shantastic McAwesome working on their defense, keeping her in the back of the pack.
Darling Nikki up front against Alligator and Girl Friday. They knock her to the outside and bring her to the back of the pack. She fights her way through with a little bit of help from Feminine Hijinks and some of the Vixen blockers. Darling Nikki is out of the pack, and she is your lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. KY Julie knocked to the inside of the track. She needs to get back behind all of the skaters to avoid a pack or a track cut penalty.
Yeah, she was very close to swinging around, staying out inbounds, but not quite.
And it looks like Darling Nikki has just scored a grand slam for the Vaudeville Vixens. That Minia Madison grand slam is going to bring the Vaudeville Vixens points up to 33. And the quad squad at 37.
Definitely a very close game. Very exciting so far. I'm loving this.
This is some great action here from both teams.
See here, now lining up on the Plan B jammer line, wearing the star for the Vixens, is Nefarious. And looks like we have
Susie Homewrecker jamming for the quad squad. Rexy gets knocked down in the back of the pack, but gets right back up. And both Susie Homewrecker and Nefarious fighting their way up to the front of the pack. Nefarious being taken to the outside while Susie Homewrecker is your lead jammer for the Quad Squad.
It looks like we have Slayhound going to the penalty box for an elbow.
She'll be sitting in that monkey bar gym penalty box for 30 seconds.
Yep. So if you are looking at your rules bingo sheet, that would be use of elbows.
And that jam ends with 2 more points for the Quad Squad, bringing their total up to 39 against the Vaudeville Vixens 33. Close game here. And we see 2 more jammers that we've seen here on the Plan B jammer line before. We've got number 9, Kenna Vendetta for the Vaudeville Vixens, up against 15, Mac the Knife from the Quad Squad.
Now it looks like Kenna Vendetta has broken through the pack to take lead jam for the Vaudeville Vixens, with Mac the Knife not too far behind her.
Kenna up against Alligator. She gets knocked but turns herself around, calls the jam off before Mac the Knife can score any points, and keeping the score where it was.
Yeah, it looks like Alligator did end up getting a trip to the penalty box for that move. I didn't quite catch what it was, what the call was, but she will be spending 30 seconds in that monkey bar gym penalty box. Up on the jammer line for this jam, we have Jocelyn Hell Burnell jamming for the Vixens, with Gouda Riddance up for the Quad Squad.
Gouda trying to follow Jocelyn Hell Burnell to the outside, then taking the inside. Both jammers trying to use their lateral movements back and forth. Jocelyn Hell Burnell through the pack first. She is your lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Looks like Gouda Riddance has picked herself up a back block penalty. So she is going to be spending 30 seconds in the penalty box, making a power jam for the Vixens.
All right. Right as the jammer from the Quad Squad, Gouda Riddance, goes to the monkey bar gym penalty box, Alligator comes back in. And Jocelyn Hell Burnell around the track and through the pack for another Minneapolis Grand Slam. And 5 more points for the Vaudeville Vixens. Vixens are trying to hold up one of the Quad Squad in the back of the pack while Jocelyn Hell Burnell tries to get another point for the Vixen, and then I believe that was the end of the jam.
Yep, she did call off that jam right as Gouda Riddance got out of the penalty box. So both teams will have their jammers to start with this next jam. Looks like we have Hammer Abby jamming for the Quad Squad up against Berserk Lee for the Vixens.
Both packs at full strength. That's 5 on 5, Rich. And Berserk Lee trying to fight against the pack on the outside, goes to the inside. Hammer Abby moving back and forth as well. Uses her agility to fight through the pack, and she is lead jam for the Quad Squad. Berserk Lee up against Sequin Destroyer in the front. She gets held up by Sequin, giving the Quad Squad enough time to get up there and help build a wall. Hammer Abby fighting up against a wall of Vixens. We've got A Magnitude, Smartash, Feminine Hijinks, and Shantastic McAwesome trying to hold back Hammer Abby as she jams through.
Well, Hammer Abby is taking quite a bit of a knocking as she tries to work her way through the Vixens' defense.
A little bit of offense there by Mac the Knife helps her get up, but the Vixens' defense just recycles around to the front of the pack, making it really difficult for her. It looks like, meanwhile, the Vixen jammer was sent to the penalty box, Berserk Lee.
Oh, and Hammer Abby does call off the jam while Berserk Lee is still in the penalty box. So that means that the Vixens will start without a jammer for this jam.
And Hammer Abby, while she had a hard time getting through the pack, did score all 4 points on that last pass through the pack. Quad Squad has 43, Vaudeville Vixens 44. That's a 1-point game, folks. Let's hear it for these teams out there.
Jam begins. We have KY Julie jamming for the Quad Squad. Berserk Lee will be jamming for the Vixens once her penalty time has expired and she gets released from the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box.
KY Julie, lead jammer for the Quad Squad. She's reaching the pack and getting right through there, scoring a grand slam, mini Madison grand slam for the Quad Squad.
Looks like there's been a star pass for the Vixens. The star has been passed to the pivot, Nefarious.
And that's a WORT, Back Porch Radio in Madison. Official star pass.
Looks like KY Julie took a little spin at the end of that first turn, called off the jam. Looks like there were 4 points picked up on that last jam for the Quad Squad. A timeout has been called by the Vaudeville Vixens, so why don't we take a moment to read some shout-outs here, Dolly.
Sounds great. I've got one here, Rich. Thanks for coming to the bout tonight, Turpin family. Love Slayhound. So that's a shout-out from Slayhound to the Turpin family. Thank you guys for coming out to the bout.
Got a shout-out here. It says, there is only one Carlson for the Otter Tribe. Deep. Poignant.
And you too can get your deep, poignant shout-outs on the microphone. Just head on over to the merchandise table, get a shout-out, and support our bout charity tonight. That's Safe Harbor. Another one here I've got, that's my wife. Happy Derby-versary. I love you. You are my moon. Trick. Love, Nora.
Oh. All right, looks like the timeout is done with. We've got looks like Susie Homewrecker up jamming for the Quad Squad, up against Darling Nikki jamming for the Vixens.
Darling Nikki playing a little bit of defense on Susie Homewrecker and then fighting her way up through a pack of green. After she gets past Sequin Destroy her, Darling Nikki is your lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. Susie Homewrecker getting right through that pack too and really skating her heart out trying to catch up to Darling Nikki. Meanwhile, Darling Nikki gets to the pack, knocked to the outside. She calls off that jam. No points scored for either the Quad Squad or the Vaudeville Vixens.
Yep, that does bring our point total to Quad Squad 52, Vaudeville Vixens 46.
With about 12 minutes remaining in the half.
And I want to thank one of our sponsors, Cool Entertainment, wedding DJs with class. Josh Cool and his crew are a group of professional musicians who spin for a living. They're the real deal and ready to bring the party. CoolEntertainment.com. That's K-U-H-L Entertainment.com.
Getting back to the action here, we have Jocelyn Hell-Burnell jamming for the Vixens with, looks like Hammer Abby jamming for the Quad Squad, who is the lead jammer for this jam here.
And as Hammer Abby gets around the track and through the pack, Jocelyn Hell-Burnell gets out of the pack. Hammer Abby scoring a Minia Madison grand slam for the Quad Squad and another 5 points.
It's like both jammers entering the pack, trying to take the outside lane. But as she gets pushed out of bounds, Hammer Abby calls off the jam.
And we got some fast action tonight. When the jammer does get into the penalty box, it looks like those opposing team members slowed down. Otherwise, it's been some just fast skating action. Both jammers having to race around the track and try and get as many points as they can.
Yeah, and the score has been very back and forth. It's very close. It's always nice to see a nice competitive bout like this.
That's right. And back to the action off of the jammer line here. We've got Darling Nikki jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens and Alligator jamming for the Quad Squad. Both jammers still in the pack fighting against blockers. Alligator gets out first, and she is lead jammer for the Quad Squad.
Looks like Darling Nikki is fighting against a wall of green composed of, looks like Sequin Destroy Her over there, as well as Mac the Knife. However, it looks like two Quad Squad skaters heading to the penalty box. Got Girl Friday and Mac the Knife. Going to be serving 30 seconds each there. Closely followed by Sequin Destroy Her. That is a very full Monkey Bar Gym penalty box.
And when there's more than two blockers in the penalty box, one has to be sent back on the track. So both jammers still on the track. Darling Nikki and Alligator both with 4 points in that last pass. Darling Nikki gets to the pack and passes first. Alligator through and past the Vixens. She turns around and tries to call off the jam.
Yeah, it looks like that was a very good time for the Vixens to call off the jam, because this means that the Quad Squad is going to be starting with a very bare team out on the track.
I believe I saw a penalty called right at the end when they were calling off the jam. The jammer was calling off the jam. It looked like she was also being called off to the penalty box. So I think we've got an official timeout, and that is a Triple M 2-minute promise timeout. This gives us a little bit of time to thank some of our sponsors and read a few more shout-outs. Triple M, that's WMMM 1055. They've got the 2-minute promise timeout, and they're programmed locally here in Madison for Madison. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Plan B, Madison's favorite gay bar and dance club. Be out, be proud, just be. After the game, don't forget to bring your ticket stub from tonight's game to Plan B for our after party.
Yep, I happen to know that we'll actually be playing a fun little game of root beer pong at the after party as part of an event to help promote mindful driving and driving home safe.
That's right. We want everyone to enjoy the bout, but also stay safe and drive sober on all your wheels. The Madison Mad Rollin Dolls partnered with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation and did a little commercial that you may have seen earlier on. We've also got the Department of Transportation Choose Your Ride vehicle here to remind us that you have a choice to make when you drive home. So choose that designated driver and encourage them to play some root beer pong at our after party.
All right, got another shout out here to Molly and Penny. My life is better for you being in it. Thank you for making my heart smile, Chris. So it looks like for this review, the Quad Squad asked for a review for the cutting penalty on Alligator. The call does stand. It was not rescinded. So Allie will keep that penalty.
So it looks like we'll start with one Quad Squad skater on the track, and that lucky Quad Squad skater is Slayhound. She's up against 4 Vaudeville Vixen blockers and Nefarious jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens. Quad Squad has 2 blockers, 3 blockers in the penalty box, and a jammer.
Now, fortunately for them, 2 of their blockers had very little time left and are back in the action, but not before. Lead jam has been picked up by Nefarious for the Vixens.
Nefarious comes around that track fast. She gets knocked down by, I think it was Mac the Knife and Slayhound, and now she's up against the 3 Quad Squad blockers on the track. She gets called out of the pack, and it looks like Nefarious gets called for cutting the track, and she will be sent to the penalty box.
Yep, there has been a little bit of a swap here now with the Vixens having their jammer and 2 blockers in the penalty box, but
And
the Quad Squad's out at full strength.
Right now, too, you might have seen Allie Gator get in from the penalty box. As she got into the pack, she slyly handed her jammer cover to Mac the Knife and started blocking for Mac as her jammer. Yep. So Mac the Knife gets through the pack again for a grand slam. It looks like Mac's trying to call the jam off, but she is not lead jammer. So there will be no lead jammer. This jam will go for another 30 seconds as both jammers try to get as many points as they can.
Yeah, it looks like Mac the Knife did just pick up a Mini of Madison Grand Slam, getting another 5 points for her team.
I think that's her second Grand Slam. And just as I say that, it looks like she scored another.
Looks like Nefarious is heading to the penalty box for a use of forearms and hands penalty. So again, if you're playing our rules bingo, you can mark off use of forearms and hands.
Mac the Knife getting knocked down, but that ends the jam with 4 whistles. And Mac bringing the quad squad score up to 83 points. Vaudeville Vixens at 60 points. Looks like the Vaudeville Vixens are going to start with their jammer in the penalty box for the start of this jam. While the quad squad will have all 4 blockers up against 4 Vaudeville Vixen blockers, and Susie Homewrecker will be jamming. She's got a power jam here. All the jamming power to herself.
It's like she's still struggling against a few Vixens blockers there. Looks like Feminine Hijinks.
She makes it through for lead jam. Lead jammer status.
In the meantime, Nefarious has been released from the penalty box, so the Vixens can begin scoring points again. It looks like Susie Homewrecker getting through for another 5 points for another Mini of Madison Grand Slam. And Nefarious has spent a little bit of time on the track and then went to spend another 30 seconds in the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box.
Looks like 2 Vixens out there on the track only, and they are managing to hold back Susie Homewrecker from scoring any points for a little bit of time there. And they're getting called off the track again. It looks like Feminine Hijinks called off the track there for a penalty. So the Vixens will start with 2 blockers in the penalty box. Looks like the quad squad have 2 blockers there as well. So 2 on 2, or 3 on 3, 3 on 2.
Still pretty close.
That's right.
See, look at our scoreboard right now. We have the quad squad at 93 points with the Vaudeville Vixens at 60 with just about 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the half. Jam begins. KY Julie gets through, taking the lead jam for the quad squad. Looks like the Vixens, the Vixens jammer and a blocker have been released from the penalty box.
Oh, just as both Vixen jammer and quad squad jammer get to the back of the back of the pack, a couple of Vaudeville Vixen blockers go down, but they get back up so fast. Trying to get that cut penalty called on KY Julie, but I think some of the Vixens went back too far and are not in play.
There has been a WORT Back Porch Radio in Madison star pass. The Vixen star has been passed from Nefarious to Dalek Doll.
Dalek Doll trying to get around and back to the pack, but not before the whistle is called, and that ends the jam. Quad squad with 95 points, Vaudeville Vixens with 60. We've still got 3.5 minutes left in this game. Let's hear it for both teams. All right, who's out there cheering on the quad squad? And how many of you here are Vixen fans? All right, both teams off.
Looks like we have Hammer Abby wearing the star for the quad squad with Darling Nikki jamming for the Vixens.
Darling Nikki off to a fast start there. She got up into the front of the pack and got into a little tussle, I think, with Super Youper, but she went down and was called on a penalty. So she'll be going to the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box. And she's followed by a couple of the Vixen blockers. They're also heading to the penalty box.
Yep, looks like that was Smart Ash and Shantastic McAwesome, leaving just a magnitude, and it looks like Lemon Dropkick up blocking for the Vixens against a full-strength pack with the Quad Squad.
And those Quad Squad are playing offensively for their jammer, Hammer Abby. Not Hammy Aber. Nope, it's Hammer Abby. She just got 2 grand slams for the Quad Squad.
Oh,
Hammer Abby with a bunch of Minnie Madison grand slams tonight.
She is racking them up. Looks like she had a little bit of trouble getting past a magnitude and Lemon Dropkick, but she did end up getting through, pick up another 5 points. Let's see if she can do it again.
Vixen's got full strength on the track now with all blockers, A Magnitude, Smart Ash, Lemon Dropkick, and Shantastic McAwesome. It looks like the Quad Squad blockers on the track, Slayhound, Super Youper, and Pied Typer are holding back while they try and allow Hammer Abby to make her way through.
Looks like Darling Nikki's going to be able to sneak around the inside, picking up 4 points.
Hammer Abby playing the role of a blocker now. It looks like all Quad Squads were blockers. Hammer Abby had passed the star to Slayhound, but she never quite put that helmet cover on her head.
Yeah, the Vixens' defense was really on her as soon as they noticed that star being passed.
That's right. And we have a timeout.
I believe that's been called by the Vixens.
And at this Vixen timeout, I think it makes a great time for me to do one of these shout-outs. This shout-out is a special one to Tegan and Galena, the daughters of Happy Go Lucky. Tegan and Galena, happy birthday. Love the Vixens. Come and find me for your surprise. So if you guys are around here, just come on down to the side here. I got a little birthday surprise for you. Happy birthday from the Vixens. Hey, Happy, where are those daughters of yours? Those 2 beautiful daughters. Are they around? All right. Well, when they are around, they've got a birthday surprise from the Vixens. Thank you.
All right, looks like our timeout has ended. Only have 2 blockers up for the Vixens. Got little Susie Homewrecker jamming for the Quad Squad, getting by those 2 Vixen blockers, taking lead jam for her team. Looks like that's Happy Go Lucky and A Magnitude who are blocking out there for the Vixens. Little Susie Homewrecker fighting her way through the pack. Gets knocked down by A Magnitude, but A Magnitude will end up picking up a penalty for that and spending 30 seconds in the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box. Wow, the track's looking really slippery out there tonight. One of the dangers of skating on polished concrete. We try to put down some rosin to make friction a little bit better, but there's only so much we can do. Both teams just about up to full strength. Got Darling Nikki out for the Vaudeville Vixens. She is not your lead jammer. Tried to come around, pick up some extra points on that pass. Didn't quite make it. Looks like Susie Homewrecker picked up another 4 points on that last pass. That brings us to the Quad Squad at 123 points, with the Vaudeville Vixens at 65 at the half. So we would like to remind you, we do want to do our first raffle drawing during this half. We do not quite have our numbers yet, but
actually,
please,
Rich, I just got the numbers. So everybody, please take out your ticket stubs.
Okay, all right, yep.
And we've got one winning ticket number. If you have a ticket, Thank you. This evening's outstanding music is provided by Tony with Cool Entertainment. If you ever want a DJ lighting or badass mixtape, just search Cool Entertainment. That's KUHL Entertainment.com.
I happen to know that this Tony character actually goes by DJ Boba Schwett.
All right. Thank you for that name drop.
Anytime. All right, so it looks like we are getting back underway here.
Oh, right back to the action.
No delay.
Already started the jam.
Yeah, it looks like we have Dalek Doll jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens with Luna Trick up for the Quad Squad.
And Dalek Doll stuck up in the front behind Sequin Destroyer and Alligator.
Yeah, Sequin Destroyer knocked her into the inside, ended up recycling her back to the back of the pack, allowing Luna Trick to pull through to take lead jam for the Quad Squad.
She got right around the outside of Tipsy Velvet there with the Vixens trying to hold her back. She is the Quad Squad lead jammer. And now she'll be coming around trying to score points for the Quad Squad. Looks like she scores a couple points and calls the jam off.
Yep, looks like that was 2 points scored for the Quad Squad, 0 for the Vixens. So we see skaters lining up on the Plan B jammer line for this next jam. Looks like we have Susie Homewrecker, who's going to be jamming for the Quad Squad. Looks like, looks like Kenna Vendetta is jamming for the Vixens, but she is spending some time in the penalty box. Or maybe that's not kind of, no, that is not. 32. So, anyway.
It looks like Dalek Doll, yep, is in the penalty box as jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. Not Kenna Vendetta.
Nope. My mistake.
Your mistake, but that's okay. It's hard to see with all this action going on.
Indeed, but what I can see is little Susie Homewrecker taking lead jam for the Quad Squad.
That's right. She's lead jammer for the Quad Squad. Looks like the Quad Squad blockers are in the back.
Yeah, they were back there ready for Dalek Doll. She is out of the penalty box and is out on the track.
And it looks like she gets through the pack, but she is not lead jam. Susie Homewrecker, lead jammer, calls that jam off after she scores 4 points for the Quad Squad. And that brings their points score total to 129 up against the Vaudeville Vixens, 65.
Yeah, there's certainly a bit of a widening gulf between these two teams' scores.
That's right.
Pardon me. But however, there is still 27 minutes left in the bout, so that's plenty of time to make up any lost points.
Strong jamming we've seen by Hammer Abby. Tonight she's back on the jammer line for the Quad Squad. She's going up against Jocelyn Hell-Burnell of the Vaudeville Vixens. Jocelyn Hell-Burnell is a rookie this year for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Hammer Abby almost made it through on the inside, but she did end up getting knocked to the inside, allowing Jocelyn Hell-Burnell to break through and take lead jam for the Vaudeville Vixens.
She races around the track, getting through and up against the pack just as Hammer Abby gets out of the pack.
Jocelyn Hell-Burnell looks like she's struggling a little bit against the Quad Squad blockers. Going to call off the jam before Hammer Abby can get in and start scoring points.
And the Vixens score to that jam, keeping Quad Squad to no points on that jam.
Well, that's exactly the kind of jam that the Vixens are going to need to start coming back in this bout. Looks like we have Kenna Vendetta wearing the star for the Vixens with Mac the Knife jamming for the Quad Squad.
Both Mac and Kenna, very strong kind of bulldog jammers where they just block their way through up against the blockers. You can see both of them using their lateral movements back and forth and just pushing forward. Mac the Knife getting through first.
Yeah, you could see her fighting against A Magnitude, Darling Nikki, Lemon Drop Kick, and Montana Slamma. So quite a bit of defense, and all of which she is now working past again as she works her way through the pack. But she does break through, picking up a Minnie of Madison Grand Slam.
Yeah, it looks like Kenna Vendetta had pushed the quad squad out to almost the engagement zone, but Mac the Knife hit the Vixen wall and pushed them up to bring them back into pack engagement zone.
Brown star pass.
So Mac the Knife gets through again for another Grand Slam. That's a Minnie Madison Grand Slam for the quad squad. And Mac the Knife getting 5 more points. As she comes up this time, however, she's knocked to the inside by Montana Slamma.
And it does look like Kenna Vendetta has been sent to the penalty box. So there is no jammer on the track for the Vaudeville Vixens, giving a power jam for the quad squad.
Oh, and that's just what the quad squad will likely take advantage of here with Mac the Knife jamming for them. It looks like that jam expired, and so we will line up another quad squad jammer to have a power jam while the Vixen jammer remains in the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box. KY Julie going to be jamming for the quad squad, lining up on the Plan B jammer line. And I see Alligator going up against Tipsy Velvet to try and block a little bit of room there for KY Julie. KY Julie trying to get past Mustang, and she is past the Vixens for lead jam for the quad squad.
Looks like Kenna Vendetta is back on the track, wasting no time breaking her way through the pack. She is hungry to catch up to KY Julie, that is for certain.
And KY Julie getting to the front, calling off that jam just as Kenna Vendetta reaches the back. But KY Julie, 3 points for the quad squad, bringing them to 148. Vaudeville Vixens at 67. And the Vaudeville Vixens will need to really get going on some point scoring here and getting the quad squad jammer maybe into the penalty box. So they have a few more opportunities with power jams in order to
they were doing a very good job of knocking the opposing jammers out of bounds earlier in the game. It looks like they're, the quad squad's gotten a little bit more wily. Jam starting off here, we have Berserk Lee jamming for the Vixens with Luna Trick jamming for the quad squad.
And Berserk Lee and Luna Trick both getting to the front of the pack but getting knocked down almost simultaneously, getting back up, and they're both going against some blockers from the opposing packs. But Berserk Lee makes it through first, and she is lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Luna Trick is not to be denied, though. She is out herself and hot on her heels.
Yep, coming up close to the pack. Berserk Lee calls it off, scoring 1 point for the Vaudeville Vixens, keeping the quad squad to 0 points that jam. We want to remind you all, too, that you can get some shout-outs out over at the merch table and support Safe Harbor, our bout charity of the evening.
We actually do have some shout-outs right here.
We do. We've got a shout-out here to Kimmy Raikkonen.
Raikkonen, yep.
Raikkonen. Shout-out to Anastasia Beaverhausen. Anastasia Beaverhausen and Kimmy Raikkonen. We got some shout-outs out to you.
Getting back at the action, Jocelyn Hell-Burnell is jamming for the Vixens with Pied Typer up for the quad squad. They were neck and neck there for a while before it looked like Pied Typer took a little bit of a spill on that fourth turn right by the Plan B jammer line.
And meanwhile, Jocelyn Hell-Burnell getting up into the pack, knocked down by the quad squad, so she calls that jam off before either team can score any more points.
Both teams playing very defensively at this point.
They are. A lot of members of both of these teams are on our travel team, the Dairyland Dolls. Dairyland Dolls will be having a wheel toss during the second bout. Halftime of the second bout, you can get your wheels from any Dairyland Doll wandering around or at their table. One wheel for $3 or get two for $5. And all of the funds go towards the Dairyland Dolls.
Back to the action here. We have Darling Nikki taking lead jam for the Vixens. Looks like we have Hammer Abby jamming for the quad squad. She is not your lead jammer.
And it took both a while to get out of the pack there. Darling Nikki coming around and calling off the jam after she scores 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens, bringing them up to 72 points. Quad Squad at 148.
I'd like to take a quick moment to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Baldwin Street Grill. They have a Friday fish fry and brunch on the weekends, Thursday karaoke night, and is usually full of derby girls.
I know the Quad Squad like to go to Baldwin Street Grill, and I've been there, I think, once or twice singing some karaoke with some of those ladies. Now jamming for the Quad Squad, we've got Mac the Knife out there again, and she's up against Dalek Doll of the Vixens.
Yeah, looks like Mac the Knife has been called out for a use of forearms and hands penalty.
And following her to the penalty box, the other Vixen jammer, Dalek Doll, is called out for a low block. Thank you. Tripping and low blocking. Dalek Doll was called out for there. Same sign for the different ones.
So that since when we don't want a jammerless jam,
That's
so
right.
when one jammer goes to the penalty box when there is already one there, that will release the previous jammer from the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box, and the next jammer only needs to serve as much time as the previous jammer served.
So right now, Mac the Knife was released when Dalek Doll went to the penalty box, and then Dalek served the remainder of time that Mac the Knife had left. Now they're both back on the track fighting against the blockers on opposing teams. It looks like Dalek Doll got out in front.
Yep, and of course, since both jammers have been to the penalty box, neither of them are eligible to be lead jam, so this jam will go for the full time.
And out of those 2 minutes, it looks like we've already had 1:30 go by, so 30 more seconds of this jam. Dalek Doll skating past the Quad Squad blockers after Mac the Knife gets through. Mac coming up to the back of the pack now. Fighting her way back against some Vixens. She is called to the penalty box again. Mac the Knife going to the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box.
Looks like that was another forearms call.
Can't use those forearms. You got to use the legal blocking zones and hit the opposing blockers on their legal target zones.
And if you would like more information about what are legal blocking and target zones, you can head over to our rules table and pick up a rule book.
That's right. Lots of rules that we skaters here have to play by. Thank you to our referees and officials who help us skate clean.
Getting back to the action here, we have Berserk Lee jamming for the Vixens, who has just taken lead jam.
Jumping out of the front of the pack there, using her footwork to get lead jam. She is on a power jam for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Yep, that's right.
Skating unopposed.
Yep, that's right. Mac the Knife is in the penalty box from the last jam. But she has been released and is now entering the fray and sneaks around the inside.
Mac the Knife getting through the pack, but not lead jam. Berserkly gets through the pack, and she does pick up a Minia Madison Grand Slam for the Vixens.
Yeah, and she is going to call off the jam before Mac the Knife can get around to the back of the pack and start scoring points. Definitely a good call at this point in the game.
As the score currently sits at Quad Squad 159, Vaudeville Vixens 83, with 16 minutes remaining in the half.
And we've got 2 rookies this year jamming for both the Quad Squad and the Vaudeville Vixens. On the Quad Squad, Pied Typer will be jamming, 918, up against Jocelyn Hell-Burnell of the Vixens, 1967. And Pied Typer's off to a quick start out in front, but she gets knocked to the outside and does have to recycle around. Jocelyn Hell-Burnell knocked to the outside by Sequin Destroyer and also has to recycle herself back and around. Both jammers just kind of getting knocked to the in or outside. And opposing skaters reversing their place so that that jammer has to enter behind them. Oh, nice offense in the front by Mustang, sealing in the quad squad so Jocelyn Helbernell can get out and around for lead jammer. Jocelyn Helbernell.
Nope, does look like Tipsy Velvet is going to take a trip to the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box.
And Pied Piper has gotten out of the pack, back around for some point-scoring pass here. She's up against a wall of Vixens in the back. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Helbernell up against Allie Gator in the front of the quad squad pack. She gets knocked down and calls off the jam. Jocelyn Helbernell getting, looks like 4 points for the Vixens, and quad squad scoring 3 on that last jam through. Pied Piper got right up there and got past 3 of the blockers, even though she was taken and recycled back around.
That was definitely some aggressive blocking by Alligator and Hammer Abby there. All right, looking like a start in the next jam here. We have Montana Slamma jamming for the Vixens with Luna Trick up for the quad squad.
Montana Slamma getting through the pack, and she is getting, she has gotten lead jam for the Vaudeville Vixens. Luna Trick through the pack.
Looks like Montana Slamma was recycled to the back by Susie Homewrecker.
She finds some room on the inside track and gets through.
Montana Slamma does get through, picking up another 4 points for her team.
She looks back and sees that her Vixens have held Luna Trick, so she's going to be skating around. She's not calling off the jam, trying to get some more points for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Looks like Alligator and Susie Homework are going to do their best to keep her back.
And as she gets up there, Luna Trick out of the pack. Montana Slamma gets another 4 points for the Vaudeville Vixens. She calls off the jam before Quad Squad can score any more points. We got a few shout-outs here for you. Again, get your shout-outs at the merch table along with all kinds of wonderful merchandise, including our skater program, official program this year, which has lots of great information on our sponsors, our skaters, and all kinds of stuff about roller derby. We've got a shout out here for Katie. Katie, don't make me take your pom-poms away. Not sure who that's from, but.
Well, getting back to the action here. Looks like we have Dalek Doll jamming up for the Vixens, and KY Julie is on jamming squad for the quad squad. KY Julie has broken through to take lead jam for the quad squad. Looks like Dalek Doll is still fighting against Sequin Destroy Her. Does finally break by. She'll be able to start making her scoring pass, but KY Julie gets through, calls off the jam.
Some fast action on the part of the quad squad. They're holding Dalek Doll as long as they can, while KY Julie gets through and hits it and quits it, as they call it. So get those 4 points, call the jam off before the other team can score some points.
Like to remind everybody that if you go and check out the Choose Your Ride vehicle over by the Mini of Madison tent, we do have some Zero in Wisconsin roller derby posters for you over there. So,
and jamming for the Vixens, we've got Darling Nikki out there up against Mac the Knife on the quad squad. It looks like Mac the Knife is lead jammer for the quad squad, but both her and Darling Nikki get right out of the pack at the same time. Darling Nikki speeding up to the front of the pack. Mac the Knife calls the jam off, but not before Darling Nikki can score 2 points for the Vaudeville Vixens.
All right, lining up on the Plan B jammer line. Oh, we have an official timeout.
Official timeout calls gives us some time to thank our sponsors like Triple M. Triple M, the Triple M 2-minute promise time out. And WORT, Back Porch Radio in Madison. Tune in any time of the day or night to hear great alternative music, news, and public affairs programming.
I'd like to give another shout out to our sponsor, Badger Bowl. Next time you're out, stop off at Badger Bowl, your hometown entertainment destination. Badger Bowl offers live bands, bowling, a full-service bar, restaurant, and catering. So there's something for everyone at Badger Bowl.
Another sponsor of ours that we'd like to thank is Ian's Pizza. 2 downtown locations offering carry-out and delivery, salad pizza, vegan and gluten-free options. Ian'sPizza.com, here to help one slice at a time. All right, thank you. And we've got another sponsor we'd like to thank, and that's the Shoebox in Black Earth, Wisconsin, one of the largest independent shoe stores in the USA, representing over 100 shoe companies. You're sure to find the perfect shoe. Located in Black Earth, Wisconsin, at theshoebox.com. Remember to check us out after the bout at Plan B. We will have our great after party at Plan B in Madison here, and our Feed the Dolls sponsor, the Glass Nickel, will be supplying the dolls with some goodie, some delicious pizza after the bout.
Yep, so this official timeout was just to make sure one of our jam refs wasn't too busted to keep jamming. We are going to get back underway here. Looks like we're going to have Whiskey and Choke up as the jammer for the Vixens, with Hammer Abbey jamming for the Quad Squad. Jam begins. Quad Squad defense doing a great job keeping Whiskey and Choke back.
And it looks like both Hammer Abbey, Whiskey and Choke moving back and forth through the pack. Whiskey and Choke through the front and inside. She's out first, and she is your lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. Hammer Abbey not lead, but she is out of the pack and coming up on her point scoring pass. Whiskey and Choke gets through for 4 points.
Calls off the jam before Hammer Abbey can get through to start scoring points herself. Great jam for the Vixens.
And that's what the Vixens need now to decrease that point differential that the Quad Squad have built up. They just need a nice 4 points and call off that jam, another couple quick jams like that.
Yep, looking
and they'll
like
be right back at there.
They are currently trailing by 69 points and have 10 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in this half.
And we would like to thank all of our groups out there tonight. Group shout outs to you. If you're interested in discounts for your group, email group tickets at madrollindolls.com at least 10 days before any bout. And tonight we'd like to welcome ScanCon to the bout. Thank you for coming, ScanCon.
All right, looks like our Triple M 2-minute promise official timeout has ended. Getting back to the action. Looks like we have Susie Homewrecker jamming for the Quad Squad with Kenna Vendetta jamming for the Vixens.
And Kenna Vendetta gets up past the Vixen wall, but is stuck on the Quad Squad wall. While Susie Homewrecker just barrels her way past. She's trying to fight past darling Nikki, who falls down, and she gets through and is your lead jammer for the Quad Squad.
Looks
Both
like
packs back at full strength. Just as I say that, it looks like one of the Quad Squad is called off for a penalty.
Yeah, it looks like that was Wendy You Wanna Die heading to the penalty box. So she'll be spending 30 minutes in the Monkey Bar Gym penalty box.
And Quad Squad scores 3 points on that jam. bringing their score up to 173. Vaudeville Vixens at 101. And this is still anybody's game here, folks. Let's hear it for both teams out there. Cheer that team on to victory. Either Va 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 Vixen or Quad Squad Activate.
Next jam begins. We've got Mustang jamming for the Vixens with Girl Friday jamming for the Quad Squad. Both jammers working against their opposing blockers, trying to make their way through the pack. But Mustang sneaks around the inside to take lead jam. But Girl Friday is hot on her tail.
That's right.
No, it is B52. B52 is the pivot.
Mustang getting right into the pack, starts to call off the jam right as she enters. She gets the 4 points for the Vixens.
And did prevent the Quad Squad from picking up any points on that jam. Another very well done jam.
That's right.
Like to take a moment to give another shout out to one of our sponsors, the Chocolatarian Cafe, down at 2004 Atwood Avenue, serving outstanding chocolate as well as savory items. A perfect destination.
And it looks like we've got feminine hijinks from the Vaudeville Vixens jamming up against Quad Squad jammer KY Julie. KY Julie still stuck in the pack while Feminine Hijinks is out, and she is the lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens. She also just scored a Grand Slam.
Oh, getting that Mini of Madison Grand Slam. Beautiful. Feminine Hijinks pulling around, picking up 5 points. She has also gotten a Mini of Madison Grand Slam.
I think this is Feminine Hijinks' first jam. As jammer here for the Vaudeville Vixens. She did play a couple years ago with the Vaudeville Vixens and then relocated out to Arizona. Now she's back and doing a great job out there with another Mini of Madison Grand Slam.
Yeah, I'm sure the Vixens are glad to have her back.
This is just what the Vixens need right now. They are holding back the Quad Squad jammer. She is not able to score any points. She's tried to pass the star to the pivot, Sequin Destroyer, who is putting the star on her helmet now. Darling Nikki and Montana Slamma doing a great job up in the front, offensively blocking for Jinx there. Feminine Hijinks calling off the jam. I don't know how many points that total was, but she has brought the Vixens up to 122 points against the Quad Squad at 173.
Now it looks like the Quad Squad has called a timeout, so I'll take that moment to give a little bit more love to our sponsors. Sponsors like Club Inferno down at 1718 Commercial Avenue, Madison's hottest club. Other places, such as Cooper's Tavern. They have craft beer, rustic food on the square.
Yeah, they also have, I think it's poutine, which is pretty good.
I have had their poutine.
Deep fried potatoes with gravy and cheese curds. I mean, come on, we're in Wisconsin here, so.
You can't say no to gravy and cheese curds.
I've got a shout out here. Somebody wrote, you should do a shout out. It costs $1. The money goes to charity. And you get to tell someone they're awesome. Like you. You're awesome. Nice shout out. Thank you. Head on over to that merch table. And right across from the merch table, you can grab yourself a wheel to support the Dairyland Dolls. One wheel is $3. You can get 2 wheels for $5. And then you get to toss that wheel later, just like those Madison Capitals do right over yonder there at the Coliseum. They use the pucks, though. We don't need pucks here. We can just
we don't need no stinking pucks.
That's right. We use our old wheels that have been worn down by wear.
Yeah. We are back at the action now. Looks like we have Allie Gators jamming for the Quad Squad, but she has picked up a track cut penalty and is heading to the penalty box.
Meanwhile, Jocelyn Hell-Burnell jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens. She got knocked out a couple times by Super Youper. Super Youper tried to bring her to the back of the pack there, succeeded once, but I think was called out to the penalty box for a penalty.
Yep, she's keeping Alligator a little bit of company in that monkey bar gym penalty box.
Meanwhile, Jocelyn Hell-Burnell is lead jammer for the Vaudeville Vixens.
Yep.
Vaudeville Vixens blockers, Tipsy Velvet, Nefarious, Whiskey and Choke, and Mustang help play a little bit of offense there. And Quad Squad jammer Alligator back on the track, trying to play some defense against that Vixen jammer. Jocelyn Hell-Burnell just fights her way through and up to the front against the rest of those Quad Squad blockers and through the pack for another 4 points.
Yeah, it looks like Alligator is knocked out of the outside by Tipsy Velvet and recycled back to the back of the pack. She has since made it back up to the front.
She gets through, but is not lead jam. That was just her initial pass through. And it looks like that jam is called before the Quad Squad can score any points. Jocelyn Hell-Burnell bringing the Vaudeville Vixens total up to 134 points. I don't know if they're going to be adjusting that. To the Quad Squad 173. We've got another shout out here. Happy anniversary to Marge and Mr. Carlson.
Happy anniversary, guys. Nah, it looks like Mr. All right, looks like this next jam has started. We have Shantastic McAwesome jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens with Hammer Abby up for the Quad Squad. Both jammers fighting against the opposing defense.
And we see this a lot where you have one jammer against the 4 opposing blockers, and then right behind them you have the other 4 opposing blockers with that jammer.
Does look like Shantastic McAwesome, the jammer for the Vixens, has gone out to the penalty box for a track cut penalty.
That'll leave Hammer Abby as the lead jammer, and she'll have a power jam for the Quad Squad. So she is jamming unopposed. She gets through the pack for her first scoring pass, and that's a Minia Madison grand slam for Hammer Abby and the Quad Squad.
Yeah, it looks like Smart Ash, Kenna Vendetta, and Lemon Dropkick are going to do what they can to keep Hammer Abby back. She does take a bit of a spill, calls off the jam.
And it looks like she scores 4 points for the Quad Squad.
I'd like to give another quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Eon Massage and Bodywork, committed to health, yours and to the planet's.
Also, Hometown Pilates, fitness the way nature intended. Corrective exercise for peak performance. Hometown Pilates in Middleton.
Getting back to the current jam, looks like we have Mac the Knife jamming for Quad Squad with Dalek Doll jamming for the Vixens. Mac the Knife is broken through to take lead jam for the Quad Squad. However, it looks like Dalek Doll is still fighting against that green wall of defense. She does slip through.
And she makes it through just as the Vixens are trying to play some defense against Mac the Knife.
They do manage to get her to call off the jam by knocking her out of bounds.
But not before she got through and passed all of the opposing blockers for 4 points for the Quad Squad.
Things are definitely getting down to the wire here. We have 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining in this half. Now, do keep in mind if the half timer runs out and we still have time on the jam clock, we will play until the end of the jam, either until the jam clock ends or until the jam is called off. So here we have Darling Nikki jamming for the Vixens, Luna Trick up for the Quad Squad. This is both teams' last chance to make that stand.
Last jam, man, both periods just went by so fast. Lots of great action here, and Darling Nikki gets out first for the Vaudeville Vixens. She's the lead jammer.
Yep, followed closely by Luna Trick. This has definitely been a fast-paced set of jams and bouts.
Darling Nikki comes around and calls the jam off after scoring 3 points for the Vixens.
Well,
1 point for the Quad Squad.
That does mean we still have time for one more jam.
And it looks like the Vaudeville Vixens are calling a timeout. That'll ensure that we do get one more jam in this second period of our bout. We want to thank you all for coming out. Stick around. We've got lots of great things coming up at the halftime and another bout after this. The Unholy Rollers will take on the Reservoir Dolls.
Yeah, and in just a few moments here, we will have another raffle ticket winner to read. So make sure you take a look at your ticket stubs, get that number ready, and find out if you're a winner.
After this bout, both teams will be going to the team fan zone. You can go and greet them there. Check out some merch at the merch table or the Minnie of Madison tent over in the corner.
Yes, it is.
Just in case anyone...
And it looks like we're going to start this jam off with Jocelyn Helbernell jamming for the Vaudeville Vixens. We've seen her out on that jam line, the Plan B jammer line pretty often. Yep. We've got Susie Homewrecker jamming for the Quad Squad.
That is a little bit of a rough position for the Vixens to be starting from. Both Montana Slamma and Berserk Lee are in the penalty box to start.
And that leaves Nefarious and Mustang blocking Susie Homewrecker through the pack. And she is lead jammer, which means she can call this jam off whenever she would like to. Unless, of course, she does get called to the penalty box.
Yep.
But Jocelyn Helbernell right behind her, both jammers through the pack, both jammers scoring 4 points. And now we do have 5-on-5 here, roller derby action. Susie Homewrecker calls that jam off, and that looks like the Quad Squad has won this bout. With 193 points for the Quad Squad. Let's hear it for your team in green, the Green Machine. Quad Squad, activate. Let's also hear it for the Vaudeville Vixens. Those Vixens fought hard out there and played a great game of roller derby.
Yep, they sure did. That was a fantastic bout. Non-stop action. Really enjoyed that.
I did too. And we've got a whole nother bout full of non-stop action. It's going to go fast just like this first bout did. So
indeed it will. We do have some halftime entertainment for you here. We'll have Katie Scullin back out.
Yeah, Katie will be playing some nice music for us
and then we'll have
during
an
the
opportunity
halftime.
We'll have a little bit of time to hear from our bout charity tonight, Safe Harbor.
Oh, it's fun day.
Safe Harbor, our awesome bout charity tonight. They're a great organization. They seek to reduce the trauma to children who are victims of abuse or neglect. Also those children who are witnesses to crimes. They do this by promoting the coordination of multidisciplinary investigations, by conducting forensic interviews in a child-friendly environment, and by providing ongoing advocacy to affected children and families. Child Advocacy Center, Safe Harbor. Thank you for being our bout charity tonight. And as you disperse after giving high fives to your teams here, the Vaudeville Vixens and the Quad Squad, do be aware that both the Quad Squad and the Vaudeville Vixens will be over near the entrance in the team fan zones. So you can go and say hi to them, get some signatures or some autographs rather from these roller derby superstars while you enjoy a little break here at the half. Before you all go too far, though, please take a look at your ticket stubs.
Yeah,
We're going to read off the next